Hi, everybody. Welcome. Welcome back to The Chocolate Touch by Patrick Skeen Catlin. We find ourselves on chapter 7 now. Margot and I are here. Hi, Margot. Why won't you make eye contact with me? That's just weird. We're here to read chapter 7 of The Chocolate Touch with you. Now, when we last left John, he had just messed up on a math test, not because he didn't know the answer, but because his pencil was turning into chocolate. Oh my goodness. I think he's got the chocolate touch. Now, on one hand, it seems as though John's every wish and dream is coming true. Everything he tastes is turning to chocolate. However, it turns out to be more of a curse than a blessing. Let's read chapter 7 to see what happens with our friend John Midas. You ready, Margot? I think she's ready. I think she's just playing hard to get. Chapter 7 on page 72. All right, boys and girls, Miss Plimsoll said. It's almost time for lunch. Clear up your things. Paint pots securely closed, brushes washed, paintings unpinned and laid out to dry, drawing boards stacked against the wall. Ah, there's the bell. Front row first, Timothy leading, then Robin in a single line. Go. John alone walked slowly in the throng, hurrying along the corridors to the school cafeteria. Now that's a very impressive sentence. I want to read that one more time because it's a very fancy way of saying something very simply. That's what I love about our language. Let me read it to you the way the author wrote it, and then let me tell you what it really means. It says, John alone walked slowly in the throng, hurrying along the corridors to the school cafeteria. Those are all really fancy words to mean this. John, who was all by himself, walked slowly in the crowd of children who were rushing down the hallways to the school cafeteria. That's exactly what those fancy words mean. You knew it the whole time. I know. But I just thought that was a beautifully written sentence, and I wanted to draw your attention to it. All right, page 73. It's the second full paragraph on that page. The school was proud of the cafeteria and the food served in it. The room was spacious and bright, with windows all the way along one side overlooking the playground and the playing fields beyond. The opposite side was wholly taken up by the shiny silver service counter. So, where our lunch lady friends are, or lunch servers, our food service workers. That's nicer. Several boys and girls were already settled at tables by the time John took his place in line. Enviously, John noticed a boy at a nearby table suck at straws dipped in a milk bottle that was dull with frost. Ooh, John could imagine the refreshing taste of cold, creamy milk. At the other table, a group of girls were eating fat red cherries. John could almost feel the firm fruit on his tongue and the pleasure of biting through the tart, juicy pulp. Oh, the cherries must taste good. They must be thirst-quenching. John unhappily took a tray from the pile and slid it along the rails in front of the top of the counter. He put a paper napkin, a glass, and a gleaming spoon, a knife, and a fork on the tray. It seemed hardly worth the while, but he felt he might as well try the food and drink. Perhaps if I eat a different way without letting anything touch my lips, he muttered, my lunch won't all change to chocolate. He was not very hopeful. What? Asked the boy standing next to him. Nothing, John said. I thought I heard you say something about chocolate, the boy said. I hope this is the day for chocolate cream pie, he added. That'd be super. On chocolate cream pie days of the past, John had been known to skip the main course so that he might spend all of his lunch money on dessert. He thought of 4 pieces of chocolate cream pie. The thought of 4 pieces of chocolate cream pie now suddenly make his stomach feel as though he were on a roller coaster, an uneasy flibberty-gibberty sensation. Have you ever felt a flibberty-gibberty sensation? I think it would feel like your tummy was upset or nervous or flippy-floppy. Does that sound familiar to you? It's happened to me before. John shuddered. Ooh, oogie, he commented, wrinkling up his nose. The other boy shrugged his shoulders and started to choose his meal. John took a plate of cold chicken and ham, potato chips, and a crisp, moist lettuce and tomato salad. The white of the chicken, the pink of the ham, the gold of the potatoes, the pale green of the lettuce, and the red of the tomatoes looked delicious. He also took half a pint of milk, a thick-crusted whole wheat roll, and a cool pat of butter, a tumbler of water with ice cubes clinking against the glass, and a dish of fresh fruit, slices of orange and grapefruit and bananas and grapes. John's tray was loaded with just the sort of meal his mother was always trying to persuade him to eat. Until today, John had always thought it was pretty dull to eat sensible things when there were sweeter food and drink to be had. Today, however, the sensible things looked most appetizing, and his mouth began to water in its new sticky way. John paid for the lunch with the money his mother had given him, went to an empty table, and sat down. His fingers trembling slightly with eagerness, he cut a slice of lettuce. His fork went through the leaves with a promising crunch. He stuck the prongs of his fork into the mouth-sized piece of lettuce and carefully inserted it into his mouth. The lettuce didn't touch his wide-stretched lips. John's teeth came together in crisp layers of sweet chocolate. He took a small piece of potato chip, tilted his head back until he was looking straight up at the ceiling, and dropped it. He dropped the morsel straight down into his throat. He felt it go, a sharp fragment of sweet chocolate. He tried the milk, the ice water, the fruit. Every solid and liquid that he sampled was transformed as soon as it entered his mouth. Then he became aware of a shocking novelty that he hadn't noticed at breakfast. At the rim of each glass, there was a small semicircle, a half circle, a lip shape. A semicircle of opaque brown, of clear brown. The bowl of his spoon and the prongs of his fork had become brown. As John watched horrified, the areas of magic chocolate slowly spread until at last the glasses and the cutlery were all solid chocolate. The trouble was unquestionably growing worse. John's scalp, his head, the skin on his head, his scalp tightened with fear. What am I going to do? He asked himself miserably. Oh dear, what is going to happen to me? Leaving his tray of chocolate food and drink and utensils, John stumbled away from the cafeteria and out onto the playground. Yikes. Be careful what you wish for, kiddos. You might actually get it. What would happen if you got exactly what you wished for? I think a lesson could be learned from John Midas. What's the lesson that you're learning? I can't wait to hear your answers. All right, my friends, I hope you've enjoyed this chapter, and we'll see you in the next chapter. Happy reading!